Hey everybody, welcome back to English Otherwise. I am Mr. Janes and we're about to jump into breaking down the news. But if you notice, I've been making some incremental adjustments to help enhance your experience. Bear with me, but you're going to get a better product in the end, slowly but surely. And so now, here's Cameron. Morning mushrooms, good morning everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and all my cousins. It's time to plug in, break down the news, learning grammar and vocabulary from the headlines. Moving on. A lot of today's headlines we have had before, and I'm going to be skipping over a bunch of these things. Here, coronavirus could be tied to rare but serious illness in children. Where something is linked to something else, it just means that they're connected. And so not only connected to it, but also dependent upon each other. The stage, much like in a theater where actors are in a play, the stage is the place where the play takes place, or where the play happens. And so he put his briefings on pause. He had suspended his briefings, but now he has returned to the stage, or the podium, the thing where they stand, that little speech table, with underwhelming testing responses. Now, to be overwhelmed by something is over, as usual, the prefix meaning too much. And so if there's too much emotion or too much of something for you to handle, too much for you to deal with, and so you might start losing it, losing control of your emotions, trying to incorporate vocabulary from yesterday and last week and weeks prior. And so if it's overwhelming, it's difficult for you to control or deal with the situation, and maybe you faint. Underwhelming, as usual, the prefix under meaning not enough. And so in this case, the response is less than what you expected, and it doesn't wow or shock or surprise you. Australian truck driver charged in a crash that killed 4 police officers and left the nation reeling. Now, let's back it up and start here. Charged in. To be charged in a crime or for a crime, or even with a crime, a lot of flexibility with the prepositions there. A formal accusation saying that you're guilty of something. You have been arrested and now you're going to court, and left the nation reeling. Now, interesting sort of word. When you're reeling, you're definitely overwhelmed with some sort of shock or emotion. The old cinema projectors had 2 reels on them, and the actual film went from one reel to the other reel, which actually is related to another word that we've got coming up. But also with the fishing pole. If you're going fishing, you've got the stick or the fishing pole, and you've got the string or the fishing line, and the line is attached to a round wheel, which is the reel. And you reel something in, which is also a phrasal verb you'll hear from time to time. But with the reels on a cinema projector, the reel on a fishing pole, it involves something that is round and then spinning. And so it's left a nation spinning. Their mind is reeling, like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Just a visual way of reminding yourself what this word means for if and when you encounter it in the future. It means shocked, stunned, overwhelmed, like your mind is spinning. He was stunned, maybe overwhelmed, maybe left reeling by indecent and obscene Trump retweet. Obscene just means basically vulgar and offensive, and something that you don't want to do or be in public. This isn't essential. Employees at Tyson dog treat factory plead with the company to shut down. So they want to close the factory because obviously, well, dog treats aren't technically essential. Sure, I mean, for pets, but it's not even pet food. It's treats like cookies, snacks. They're pleading with the company to do something. Just like up above, that truck driver was being charged with this horrible accident. When he goes to court then, he will plead innocent or plead guilty. And we've had it before. To plead as a noun is a plea. Maybe a plea for help, a plea for forgiveness. And so here, plead, it's a bit more formal, but it's very similar to another word that we've had before, which is beg. This is just a more formal version of begging. To lurch. It's a very nice visual piece of vocabulary about physical movement. To lurch is to sort of move in a large fashion unexpectedly. It's like, suddenly he lurched to the side. And also, if you remember the fantastic films in the very old TV show, The Addams Family, their butler was called Lurch. Unintentional, unplanned, and it's certainly not graceful. You're never going to see a ballerina lurch. And so they're not dealing with the problems well, they're not moving gracefully. Hey, friend of Ernie, good morning. Yes, exactly, zombies lurch. And I'm thinking more Shaun of the Dead type of lurching, type of movement, not 24 days later or whatever it was, where they're like super psychopathic. If something is turned upside down, it's not the way it's supposed to be. Much like if you have a turtle, and if you turn him upside down, he's not going to be happy, he's going to have difficult. She's pleading innocence. It's not my fault, I swear. Yesterday we had people were flocking, moving as a large group to the beaches, much like birds, or swarming the beaches, much like insects. And so now the beaches, because all of those people are flocking there, are packed, despite the coronavirus concerns, worries about the virus. And so they are packed with people. There's people, dun, 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 dun. It's full of people, much like you pack a suitcase. If something is packed, it means absolutely full. We've had it before. To endorse somebody for something just means to give, it's a very official proclamation, official announcement of support. I think Indian movie star, I believe. Her bold fashion has made her a global style icon. Again, icon, like the symbols on the desktop of your computer, it's a small symbol that is recognizable by everybody, and so as an adjective, iconic. And to be an icon just means that you are ultimately recognizable by everybody. And here, bold means courageous, means brave. And so she apparently has styles or fashions which are different than everybody else's. And so she's being courageous by putting them out there. Bold, thinking about word processing, often we can make the words bold in order to emphasize them. Much like here, they're highlighted, or sometimes we'll underline it, put a little line underneath it, or we can make them into italic, yes, that way. Italics, in order so that they look different than the other words, so that they're easily seeable, findable, and to highlight them, to emphasize them. Bold, in this case, means courageous. Just means the video that was taken of something, but it's called footage because it was about the number of feet, approximately 30 centimeters is 1 foot, how many feet of film something required in order to shoot it, like when you're shooting movies. Concedes that aid to states and local government likely coming in the future package. Here we've had before, likely just means probably. Probably is an adverb, probability as a noun. You'll often see this as likelihood or the probability of something happening. And it's usually with some sort of regret. You don't necessarily want to, you're doing it with regret or reluctantly to do something that you don't really want to do, but for whatever reason you need to do or have to do. And so he's admitting against his will that aid to states and local government is probably coming in a future aid package, talking about financial aid for the states. Oh, look at that. I've got another moving arrow. Is furloughing 6,000 staff. And so to furlough we had before, which is a temporary firing. However, you are still employed. You're not going to work and you're probably not getting paid. You might be. You're probably not getting paid. However, you are still officially employed by them, and there's a good chance you're still receiving benefits. For example, your healthcare. I don't know. It's different in every country. In other countries, healthcare isn't a benefit; it's a right. But in the U.S., healthcare is not a right; it is a benefit. Surprise! Nobody's flying. Bleeding cash, and it's just a nice, very visual piece of vocabulary. Meaning, if something you're losing something very quickly and it's vital to your survival. To be on hiatus from your job, from doing something, just means that you're on a temporary break from doing that. I'm down to the last little bit of my second cup, and so I was sort of saving it in order to savor the flavor. I don't have a real Rolex, I have a phony Rolex. And a gesture, much like I'm making wild gestures with my hands, there's various other gestures we could make, like in some, well, sorry, my apology if that offended anybody, but that means good job in my culture. I'm not going to do anything else that might be potentially offensive. However, a gesture, a movement, and then a movement is an action, and here it's phony, and so meaning the sentiment, the feeling behind the action he's making is not real. Repetition is the key to retention. To deal with or to handle something, someone. No handle with. It's a fancy word for crashes, and so apparently this is not about cars actually, it's maybe about egos. People you've got in his administration, or any administration really, you've got a bunch of people and then I think this and I think this, and they metaphorically crash or figuratively crash into each other. Several meanings to this phrasal verb, and it's a can of worms. We don't need to get to all of them. Stick with what it means right here. Facebook is taking on Zoom with new video features, which means that they are confronting them and they're trying to compete with them. To roll something out, just like you have a carpet that's all rolled up and you like that, and then suddenly all the carpet is visible and the floor has changed. It just means launching or starting, releasing a new product. And so as an adjective here, a long-awaited security update. A security update which we have been waiting for a long time. Yeah, and so just a nice way of condensing that and making it a little bit easier to say. Thank you for joining. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday, and see you all tomorrow morning. Again, that's a wrap, and so hopefully be seeing you sometime in the morning on Twitch. If not, then here on YouTube, also going to be posting more and more stuff to Facebook and Twitter. And so tell a friend, click that like, subscribe, and all that, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.